the best mountain in the world. You know, I've been all over the world climbing, but when you come home and climb on the Ben, it's just magical.
Why do we study it? Because it's fun, mostly. The only way we can make any kind of head nor tail of biodiversity is by actually knowing what's there.
None of the inaccessible bits of the North Face have ever been surveyed for botany.
What we're doing here is very important, possibly changing the model of how the rocks in Ben Nevis were formed.
Been climbing on the Ben since I was 16 years old and been up Ben Nevis easily over 1,000 times. We're helping out safety and recording on a botanical and geological survey of the Ben, and hopefully getting the botanists, geologists into areas that they can't access by themselves on really steep bits of the Ben, which is a fantastic adventure to get to, you know, and see.
So we have a group of botanists, a group of geologists and a group of climbers, and the idea is that together we're taking a team approach to doing a survey of the geology and the botany of the North Face, but we're also training the climbers at the same time to recognise important geological features and important botanical specimens, because it's really important this information is recorded for future generations.
The team really is a kind of Ben Nevis A team, it really is. It is innovative, it's a new project, it's something that hasn't been done before, there's no rule book for it. We've moved 2.5 kilometres of rope up here by hand. One of the things we're really trying to find here is new records for some of the rare and endangered and scarce Arctic alpine species. I think those are the things that first brought people here. The first recorded ascent of Ben Nevis was by a botanist, 1770, 1760.
I think rare things are exciting for people. You know, people get inspired about tigers, not about cows or sheep. You know, they get inspired about things that are disappearing, because instinctively I think we feel that shouldn't happen. A lot of these species are at the southern limit of their distribution here in Scotland, and they represent a kind of relic flora from the time at which we were experiencing glaciations. They also have incredible strategies for surviving in these really inhospitable places, and those stories inspire people to connect with nature again, and that's really important. So we can use them to generate interest. And interest means people are connected, and that means that they care about these wild, green, natural places.
I was a climber long before I was a botanist. I owe all my interest in botany really to an ice climb when I was climbing past, and there was purple saxifrage in flower next to me when I was climbing. And I just could not believe that there was this beautiful purple flower growing next to me on an ice face. It's just like another map. You go out into the hillside, and as well as your Ordnance Survey map, you've got this other map that's in your head about the vegetation you're seeing around you, and it's just great. This is wavy meadow grass, which is an Arctic grass, extremely rare in Scotland. You're always slightly worried that there will have been some kind of event and that it will have gone. Most people recently, the last 50 years anyway, nobody's been able to find it in any other place other than Observatory Gully.
So today we've achieved 2 of the bonuses which were not givens for this project, they were unexpected. One of which is Will's brilliant record of the wavy meadowgrass. So that's a new location for something that is extremely rare. It also demonstrates that this is not elitist. You can be someone who had no idea what this grass was 24 hours ago, and now you've found a new population of it. That's really exciting.
This is a learning and training couple of days just now, so there's lots of information for us all to take in, and just now my head is just nearly exploding with all that information, and quite hard to try and safeguard someone and then also taking what they're saying about either the rock or the quite rare plants or very rare plants, and especially in number 4, try not to then stand on those very rare plants, which it seems, even talking to Jenny and Roddy, quite a complex situation that formed Ben Nevis, and potentially a situation that we don't really know how it was really formed.
Geological time is really a very difficult concept to get your head around. Obviously, we live on the basis of years rather than millions of years, and what we're seeing in the rocks may happen maybe on tens of years, and it's just a very small snapshot of what's happening over millions of years. So we've got to take very small pieces of time and try and put them in a framework of a much larger time scale. But it's cool when you start thinking about it and how vast time is compared to how small amount of time we've been living on the planet.
The British Geological Survey, their survey team spent several years in the area about a century ago, and they were the first people to appreciate the fact that it was actually an ancient and deeply eroded caldera, which had a fairly dramatic collapse structure associated with it. But no one's really explored the area in the same level of detail since.
The traditional model is that Ben Nevis is a classic example of what we call caldera subsidence, so a volcano where the centre of the volcano has collapsed down into the magma chamber. The traditional model would have a ring fault in the centre of Ben Nevis, where the volcanic rocks that you see forming most of the north face have collapsed down around this structure, this circular structure. There are alternative models that are equally viable.
When everybody thinks of Ben Nevis, you think, oh, it's shaped like a volcano. There must have been a big volcano sitting on top of the Ben, and it's not like that at all. So looking at the rocks that we have done today on the first aid, it looks like a lot of the mapping isn't showing the contacts we're expecting to see. So by finding more contacts, we can come up with a model that might relate more to modern day theories of caldera formation.
CIC Hut from Tristan. CIC Hut from Tristan. CIC Hut, go ahead, Tristan. Scott has broken his finger. Repeat, Scott has a broken finger. Over.
Coming down the screen, we were all, as it always is, making our way back down at the end of the day. Good spirits. Just took a little tumble, put my hands out, and obviously found something jaggy that decided that I wanted to bend my finger.
Vehicle?
Just a finger though, isn't it?
This is your bag.
Just hope it's alright for next week.
Fingers crossed, but I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
What a way.
Hello there. We've been tracking it for well over a week, but the weather system, which has been spawned out of what was Hurricane Bertha, has decided to spend its Sunday with us here in the UK rather than in France. So the scene as we start off Monday, deepening low is in the northern portion of the North Sea. You'll notice on the southern flank of it where the isobars are tightly packed, these are where the strongest winds will be.
Kind of trying to look after this team of climbers who are now botanists and geologists as well, as we go and explore and look for more stuff of what's up here on Ben Nevis. The topography of the North Face is so complicated and big. You can get right inside some of these corries and gullies and you're right out the wind, so no, you're fine. This is out the wind right here, tell it, if you're up there. 80-mile-an-hour gusts, no problem at all. Just another day in the office, it's lovely.
One day you can have the best day on the Ben, and then the next day or within the same day you can have potentially, with the weather, the worst day of your life here, you know. I just really like that battle against the weather and the rock and the ice and the snow.
As well as mapping the distribution of the different rock types, we're taking great care to measure different joint sets, that's fractures or cracks that we see in the rocks on the North Face. And there's a really interesting story there. We found one particular joint set which is responsible for forming most of the gullies that we see on the North Face, so the ones that the climbers love in winter. And when you look in those gullies, we can see that the rock in there is intensely sheared, so it's been rubbed together as each side of the gullies moved past one another. It might not have moved much, maybe just a metre or two, but it's crushed the rock in the middle, it's made it very weak. You've reduced the minerals in the rock to clays and it's easily washed out. And what the botanists have found is that because there's so much clay material, there's so much water running down there, they're great places for these rare alpine plants to find a foothold and establish themselves.
We're in number 4 gully. So this is a site where we know there are some of the rarer plants on Ben Nevis growing. So it's quite loose. We've just got to take a lot of care moving ourselves around here. And initially we're just getting to a situation where we can all identify the plants. We'll come back here in slow time and do a count and survey actually how many plants there are growing here this year. Is it feeling loose to you, Roddy?
No, it doesn't feel loose.
Really? No. God. Where do geologists normally go if this doesn't feel loose?
So we've seen today 4 rare saxifrages,
right. Yep.
One of which we've no previous record of for Ben Nevis.
Yeah. Just up number 4 gully, there's a couple of rosettes, one flowering of alpine saxifrage, Saxifraga nivalis, and that's not been recorded on Ben Nevis before. That's a completely new record for Ben Nevis. So yeah, we are doing well. We don't know what the climate change will bring. It will bring something, and the conditions here may be very different. Some models predict more snow, like we had last winter. And so, who knows, it may be more favourable to these species, but I suspect that over time we will lose these Arctic alpines, or the rarer of the Arctic alpines.
So you see those 2 low spots just really find it through.
No. What we're able to do on this abseil is look at the variation in the rock types as we go down this cliff. There's a contact somewhere between the breccias at the bottom and the andesite up here, and this is the only way we can get access to find out where that contact is. If I can find it on this cliff face, then I'll be able to measure the orientation of that. I think I can actually see the contact below us, which is absolutely great. When you look at the distribution of the rocks, you will see that they seem to be related to the linear feature that is the Altavulin itself. So it's possible that this represents a fissure that allowed the magma to rise from deep levels and come up closer to the surface. Somehow you have to have an opening when the crust is in extension to allow this magma to rise up, and possibly a big fault along the Altavulin is what will allow you to do that, and possibly not the circular caldera model that was traditionally proposed.
The idea of volcanic centre collapse, so the Ben has collapsed 600 metres into its present day position, is a very tricky one to explain in terms of space. So if you're moving something from up here and dropping it down, what's it dropping into? Where's all that additional material going to? The old model was built up quite a few years ago and based on very old concepts of caldera formation. So we're really trying to get the field evidence to come up with alternative models and then be able to test them.
Rather than the volcanic rocks dropping down, they may have stayed where they are, and material is rising up, more volcanic rocks, more magma is coming up and surrounding these volcanic rocks that we see here. So we'll just have to collect some more data, map out these contacts before we're absolutely sure what's going on, but it's very exciting. We've had a fantastic week here. I feel very privileged to have been part of the team that's doing this North Face survey, and I can't wait to get back here next year.